So what we're going to do is we're going to record distance and time from the data that you collected when you sent your cars down their various ramps. In order to do this, we're going to use the tables that I've set up for you already just to save time. Your trials are listed on the left, trials 1, 2, and 3, and then there's an average, and same with time. So there's distance and time. The thing with distance is we measured in tiles, which were 12 inches, so a foot per tile. So what we have to do is use inches instead. So at the bottom of your data sheet, everything has been converted to inches. That's part of what we need to do. And then we need to turn it into meters. So in order to do that, we're going to write a formula right within our spreadsheet. And then when we finish that, we're going to average everything out. So I'm going to assume that I worked on the angles that changed. So that was the angles that we put the blocks underneath. So the first angle was actually 20 degrees. The second one was 30 degrees. And I am just pressing my tab key to move across here. Okay. Now, my first collection of data that I have for trial 1 at 20 degrees, and I'm just guessing here, I've converted that to 40 inches. So if I convert it to 40 inches, then here's my formula. I have to say equals 40, those are my inches, times 2.54, which is my centimeters, and that would give me only centimeters, but I need to divide then by 100 because there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So then I'm going to press my enter key. Okay, so then what we're going to do next is we're going to click on my first entry, and there's this little box in the corner. We're going to drag across like this, and then we're going to drag down, but not into the average cells. Well, what does that do? Well, not a whole lot, because now everything's 1.02 meters. Well, that isn't what we want. So we know that our first one is correct. We go to trial 2. When we're in trial 2, we go up to the formula bar at the top, and instead of 40, we backspace, and if our cursor moves at the end of 100, we just have to make sure we're right after the equal sign. And then we're going to put, that one was 30, so I'm going to put 40.6 inches for that one, times 2.4 divided by 100, and that's going to give me 1.3 meters. And then this one, I know, is the same as this one up here. So I'm just going to leave that one alone. Okay. All right. So then this one at 30 degrees, I'm going to believe that it maybe went a little bit further. So I'm going to make that 42 and press my enter. And then this one, I'm going to come up here, and for my second trial for 30 degrees, I'm going to click up next to the 40, and I just have to change it to my new distance. And I'm going to put that in and press enter. And then I'm going to go down to my last one, and I'm assuming that this one went again faster than the first 20 degrees, or further, I mean, so I'm going to put in 43 for that one, and I'm going to press enter. All right. So then I'm going to go over to my 40 degrees, and I'm going to assume, because I didn't do the experiment, that it's even going to go further. So I'm going to put 44 in there and press enter. And then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make this one 45 and enter. And then this one over here, I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to make that 45.6 inches times the centimeters is 2.4. 0.54 per inch divided by 100. And that's going to give me my meters. Okay, so when I do that, then I have to average everything. And the average is adding these three items divided by the number of items you added, which is 3. So I would add these up and divide by 3. But because we're in this spreadsheet program, it will do it for me. So I'm going to click on where it says average. Now I use this pointy, it looks like a pointy E or an M on its side. I'm going to click on the arrow next to it and click on average. Well, that doesn't do anything except give me a whole bunch of information about what I need to do. Here's what you need to do. You need to fill in the numbers between these brackets. To do that, you click and drag over the numbers that you need to add up and make an average of, and you press enter. And that's the average for these. Okay? And then when you do the first average, you click on the little box in the lower right-hand corner, pull it across, and there are your averages. Okay? So that's how you do that part of it. Now, after we make the table, then what we're going to do is highlight our information. We don't want to highlight the title. We just want to highlight from trials all the way over to the end. We don't want to add an extra cell. It will throw everything off and your chart or table or graph will not come out correctly. After I highlight just those things, I go to insert this chart. If I don't have that, I just go to insert, and when I go to insert, I click on chart, either one. When I do that, this comes up with a bar graph, which is fine because we're making comparisons. And I like that my legend is over here, but I'm missing my average, and that's important. So what I want to do is go to the select data range button right here, and I'm going to click on it. And then after I click on it, I see that it says to go to E6. This is E6 down here. I just click OK. Now my average shows up, and that's what I want. Okay. All right. After I do that, I'm going to go to Chart Types. And when I'm in Chart Types, I'm not going to make any changes. This is where you would go ahead and choose other types of charts. Or if you chose to do your degrees that way, then you would put your legend would be your trials, and your degrees would show up on the bottom. But I like to make comparisons this way so I can see how they what the difference is. So then I go to customization, and I'm going to name my chart or graph. Now I need to be specific. So this is distance a car traveled down an inclined plane with different or various angles. Okay, I could even put 3 in here because that's what I had. It's pretty specific. All right, 3 different angles. Okay, so that's all I need. We're not going to worry about changing anything up here. When we have more time and do some more of these, we'll see that we can change bold, italics, we can change our color and do all of that. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to go to leave our legend at the right, so just leave that alone. We're going to move down, and when we move down, we get to the axes. The horizontal axis goes across the page, and what we're going to do is just leave this as trials, and once we do that, we're going to switch from horizontal to vertical. So you can't scroll down and look for vertical, it's not there. You have to remember to go here to left vertical, and now that will make changes on the left side of your graph. So the title for this is meters traveled, or distance in meters, whatever you'd like to put for that. If it were, and that's what you'll put for all of them. on that. Okay, so we're again leaving everything else alone, but we are going to come down here. And when we come down here, we are going to look at two things. The two things we're going to look at are the grid lines. You'll see right now, these are pretty far apart, so it's a little difficult to say exactly where these numbers lie. So we can go ahead and make this 10. And then when we make a 10, we get more on our page, and it has given us more grid lines, so it's a little easier to see our work. As we get further along, we may decide on some of our graphing, when doing some of our graphing, to go ahead and put data labels on. That will also help to be more specific, especially when things are really close together. That's what you're going to need. I'm going to just say none for that right now. And now that it looks like I have it the way I want it, I'm going to insert it. And when I insert it, I can just click and drag it down underneath. All right. And then we're going to do the same for the time, but we are not going to have to do a formula for the time. So it would be the same thing. I would put 20 degrees up here, and I would put 40 degrees here. Oops, I'm sorry, 30 degrees. 30 degrees here and 40 degrees here. Again, if you were doing weights, it would be no weight, one weight, two weights, or surfaces, it would be bumpy, smooth, slippery, however you have that there. And distances, the one with three distances would be one distance, would be distance one, distance two, and or it would be low, middle, and high distances. I didn't have time to measure those distances out. So we're just going to call it low, medium, and high. All right. And then, so the time would just be in seconds, and the time could be 3.3 seconds. Press your enter key to go down, 3.2 seconds, and 3.6 seconds. All right. And then you can go ahead and put your average in right there if you'd like, and press enter, and then do the next one. And 30 degrees, I'm assuming it would go a little faster, so I'm going to put 3.1 on this one, press enter. I'm going to put 3 on this one, press enter, and I'm going to put 3.09 on this one. When I get down here, I can just grab this little box across, and that will give me my average for that one. All right. Okay, and then I'm going to do my 40, and my 40 is even going to go faster, so I'm going to put 2.98, enter, and I'm going to put 2.86, press enter, and 2.9, press enter. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this across right here, and now I have my averages for that. All right, so that part's done. So we do the same thing we did before. We just go like this. We go to the chart. We just go through chart types, which we have to do this. Remember to go here and say, okay, so we get the average. Chart types we can leave alone. Customization is time a car traveled down an inclined plane with 3 different angles. Okay, so you have to be specific there. We can leave the legend on the right. We can go to our horizontal, and that's fine. We have trials and 1, 2, 3. We're going to change to vertical, and when we're in vertical, we're called seconds. You could just call that seconds. And then because we're in our vertical, we're going to go down and change it to 10, so we have a better idea of what our numbers actually are. We say insert, we move it down, and now we're where we need to be. Okay, and that's what you're doing. The other questions on what you were working on can be filled in later in class. when we meet again. Okay?